Hello and welcome to Therapy Talks. My name is Christian Bumpous. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed professional counselor. And today we have a bit of a special episode because I have one of my favorite people, Kendyl, with me, who is about to launch a new group offering here at Therapie. And she's going to talk to us all about it. Um, for those of you guys that haven't joined us before, Therapie is a private practice in Nashville, Tennessee, and we work primarily with busy professionals and help them get the most out of life, their relationships, and work. And so if that sounds like you, then you have come to the right place. Therapy Talks is our little series to give people a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what happens in individual and couples therapy. And so sit back and relax as you listen to probably two therapists just nerding out. And with that, welcome and good morning, Kendall.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm excited.
It's a little early this morning, isn't it?
It is, but I got my coffee, so we're good.
We're ready to go. Super. Um, yeah, if you just wouldn't mind briefly introducing yourself and maybe share a little bit about your journey as a therapist and what you've been up to before joining our practice.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Kendall, a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have been practicing about 5 years now. Before joining therapy, I was working with a nonprofit and I was doing intensive in-home services for youth and families who had either had involvement with the Department of Children's Services or the juvenile justice system. I like to say it was trial by fire for my career and taught me a lot of things. I'm very, very thankful for that time and that work. Um, and it's helped just strengthen my therapeutic abilities now to work with the clients I have. So I love the work I do. I'm excited to get to support people and now do a little bit more in a group setting.
That's awesome. Who are the types of people that you work with now when you look at your caseload?
Yeah, so now it's a lot of young adults as well as couples. So, really just trying to help support people through different life phases. I think when life shifts or we enter into a new stage of life, like it's helpful to have someone there alongside you because it gets a little chaotic or sometimes a little stressful. And really, just helping people walk through those stressful times in ways that they can look back and hopefully be a little proud of themselves for.
Yeah, that's really neat. Um, what would you say? I love asking this question. When it comes to therapy and being a therapist, what is one of your favorite things about being a therapist and working with individuals and couples?
Yeah. Um, Being led in to the spaces that I don't think a lot of people get to see,
Mm.
with my clients, it's special. It's something that I always want to honor. It's very vulnerable and very open, and the fact that these people will choose to trust me with some of their deepest things is it's really cool to think about. I don't know how else to put it. Very, really cool. But it is. It's just it's an honor, to be trusted in those ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really special moments in terms of the things that we get to talk about with our clients, the things that are most important to them, maybe most sticky and painful as well at times. And then usually we, like you were saying earlier, when it comes to life transitions, usually we catch people when there's a lot happening in their lives. And so
Mhm.
to be able to join them in those moments is really, really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, now I'm super excited to talk to you this morning because we are branching out just a tiny bit. And you are launching a group experience. Um, I was thinking if it's our first group experience at therapy, at least in this like format for sure. Um, and the group is called WTF, Why the Feelings. And you came up with that title, and I love it. Um, Tell me a little bit about that title and what you want, what that group is all about.
Yeah, so it's really geared towards young adults in their 20s. Um, so in that phase of life where you're not in college anymore, you're stepping into like really truly adulting. And I think I don't know about other people, but for me, there was a lot of WTF moments
Mm,
that life phase. And a lot of it did have to do with feelings. I'm maybe not so aware of that at the time, but, you know, hindsight 2020. Um, but just helping people learn that they already have the skills that they need. That's what this group is about. It's really just enhancing the things that you already have and helping you realize, like, your toolkit's already equipped with some things. So how do you use them in this time of life where we're all just really trying to figure it out? I think
yep.
sometimes it's like feeling around in the dark.
Mm, wow. It reminds me of, and I bring up this movie all the time, The Matrix, and like this for did you watch those movies?
So I'm gonna be honest, I have not fully seen them. But that's okay because I have not seen a lot of classic movies
Mm,
that I've seen.
there's so many, movies that I haven't seen either. So when people ask me like, "Have you seen this one?" I'm like, "Nope, I haven't. It's on my list. It's been on my list for 5 years, but I haven't seen it yet."
Mhm.
Yeah, I love the Matrix movies because, well, the whole thing is about this one guy well, it's about a lot of things, but essentially there's one guy waking up to reality in many ways, but also realizing and tapping into his strength set. And like
Mm,
over the course of the movie, you see him like literally being able to start decoding what's actually happening and to use that to his own benefit. And so when I hear you talk about, feelings, or like me might not have the awareness of what's going on, like that's what I'm hearing. Like this group is about figuring out all the moving pieces that you might not even know are going on, and then also tapping into the strengths that you might not even know that you already have. So it's
yeah,
really that's kind of the it's almost like having like special superpower glasses and putting it on being like, "Oh, this is how this works. I didn't understand these connections. I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't know I had this ability." But hopefully over the course of the group, people can kinda learn more about that and start tapping into it.
yeah, no, that's exactly it. I guess I need to go watch this movie now.
Yes, it's a great therapy analogy.
Yes,
The Matrix and Inception both are great therapy analogies.
I've seen Inception, so
Yes. Um, so the format is gonna be on the website, and we'll talk more about kind of the logistics and how to sign up and how to get more questions answered. But essentially, it's gonna be a group that runs for 9 weeks on Wednesday nights in
Mhm.
person at our office location in Nashville, right by Centennial Park. Um, and so 9 weeks in a group setting. I guess the question was gonna be, how many people are gonna show up to this? Like, if I were to sign up, how many people are gonna do this with me?
Yeah, great question. So really looking at ranging from 6 to 10 people. We're gonna allow up to 10, but we're not gonna go over that as well as, like, we wanna have a good amount so that you're still getting that group feel, there's a lot of benefit from working alongside, peers who are in similar phases of life, so that 6 range still allows for that. But, still want it to feel a little, like, personal, not too big, not massive, like you're getting lost in a crowd because the purpose of this is to feel seen and to feel like you're getting, even some one-on-one support in these spaces for whatever that looks like. It's not a full therapy session, like you and just a therapist, but th it's still that intimate space.
I guess the next question that comes up with that, if, I've done my own therapy groups at this point, so I know what it's like, but I also remember doing a first I know you're saying this is not a therapy group, this is more of a
Mhm.
skill group, so there's also one difference right there. But I just remember, like, doing, like, a personal development group for the first time and, like, joining as a participant, and, not gonna lie, it was pretty anxiety provoking the first time I joined, thinking like, "Okay, well, who else is gonna be there? what are these people going to sound like, and what's going to be expected of me? Like, am I supposed to share all my deepest, darkest secrets to like strangers that I don't know? So can you speak a little bit more to kind of how the group is structured and what if somebody was to decide to join the group, what they can expect in terms of what they have to do and what they can do?
Yeah, yeah. So it is interactive. So if you're like, I want a group that I can come and just sit in the back of the room and listen, probably not going to be the best group for that. But it's not you having to delve into your life story. You can. There will be space to share. Um, again, it's not going to be a full therapy session. So if there is things coming up that it's like, hey, maybe you need this space a little bit more focused on you, we'll talk about it after a group or something and just figure out getting you set up with those resources. But it's really whatever feels comfortable for you. It's gonna be, participating, doing some of the activities that we have. I'm not making you work out or anything, so don't worry about that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about experiences, and we're gonna talk about ways that maybe you could have implemented the skills that we're learning. We'll do check-ins to just see how you are going into the group because, again, WTF, you might come in on a Wednesday night and life has been lifing, and you're like, "I need to vent for a second because I can't learn anything right now." And so it's gonna be interactive, yes, but to your own comfortability. So don't feel pressured to have to share more than what you're comfortable sharing.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's really comforting. Like it's gonna be an interactive group, uh, but people can take it at their own pace, and what
Yeah.
they're comfortable sharing is great. Um, how about the structure of the group? Is this just kind of showing up on a Wednesday night and then it's a free for all for an hour and a half? Or what can I expect like a session to look like?
Yeah, good question. So what it's gonna look like, we're gonna come in, um, every week, we're gonna do a check-in. So, first and foremost, we're just checking with where everyone's at before we jump into anything else. And if we need to give a little more time and space for some of this check-in, then we'll adjust and adapt to that. Um, it's structured, yes, but with some flexibility because that's part of the group is learning to be flexible, actually. Then we'll just kind of move into the principle for that week. There, there are the freedom steps, and so it's an acronym. And what we'll do is each week learn about a new part of those freedom steps and cover that, and then talk about how it builds onto what you've already learned. So there'll be an interactive activity. Some of them have a worksheet, some of them are just talking activities. I like to get a little creative and maybe make it like a little bit of a game at some point just to keep us engaged because it will be the evening after probably work.
A little
Um,
bit.
but yeah, kind of just expect to walk through those check-ins, going over a principle, reviewing how it applies to everything else you've learned, and then a quick little debrief, summary, question, Q&A at the end, and then I'll send you out to head on your way.
Cool. So when you talk about the freedom acronym, would you mind kind of briefly going over the way I'm understanding it, that the 9 weeks essentially going to tackle one letter each week? Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay. Would you just briefly can you explain what that acronym stands for and kind of what the topics are for each of the weeks?
Yeah, of course. So the freedom acronym, the first one for F is focus. And we kind of just start in that space of learning how to slow down and focus in. R is going to be recognizing emotions. So we're learning how to look out for emotions. So some people might already have this skill and they're already kind of doing it. Some others of us, it's like emotions. What?
Mhm.
So
I
we're
don't
gonna
think I
learn
have
how to yeah,
that.
I don't have those. What are you talking about? We're gonna learn how to recognize them. Then the E is gonna be evaluating those emotions. So we learn a little bit of how different emotions can show up and lead to different responses. What that looks like is there's a principle of main and reactive. You'll notice this show up in some other areas as well, this language. And so we're just learning how to identify what emotions put us in reactive spaces and then which ones allow us to align with our values, morals, and beliefs. The second E is going to be evaluating thoughts. So very, very similar to evaluating emotions of those main and reactive. But we're looking at the way you're thinking. And I love it that it ties in, like I said, they all build on each other. So we have the basis of understanding the emotion. Now we're looking at how that emotion affects the way you're thinking. So the D is going to be for defining goals. So we're going to look at short term and long term goals here. And this is really just setting a purpose for why are you even learning to do these things?
Mm.
Like, I think sometimes I don't know about other people in my schooling days. Like, it's like, why do I need to know this Pythagorean theorem? Like, what's the point? Have I used that since? No. So it's really getting some purpose and meaning behind why we're doing the things we're doing. And then we're gonna have identify or oh, sorry, but it is an I first, so a little confusing. Identifying options. And this is by this point, we've kind of stepped into a space where we're hopefully able to be thinking and pulling from our filing center of our brain, which is just stored memories and experiences, to decide what our choices are in moments of stress
Mm.
and that we do have choices. We are now adults, so there is a sense of agency there. It's really helping people embrace that agency for themselves. And then last but not least is the M, and that is going to be making a contribution. And this really just looks at, okay, we've got all these things. We've hopefully been practicing them. How is it contributing to our lives? How is it contributing to the lives of people around us? You know, how do we use it to make a difference? So it's also learning this to help yourself, but these things can impact those people around you and in your circles in different ways and spending time realizing like what that looks like and how has this been more impactful than just within yourself. It is great to help and do better for ourselves, but it's also rewarding and probably some of why I do this work to see how it impacts others.
Mm. Dang, okay. Wow, that's like the whole that's really comprehensive.
Yes, I mean, we're going to cover it all. So hopefully when you finish this group, you feel like, okay, like we went from point A to point Z,
Mm.
and I know some things that are very helpful that make sense. And within that realm of these skills that we've learned, like I have very little questions about them.
Mm. Right.
And if you do, you can still ask me about them.
Yes, and if there's anything left, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what do you see? Because 'cause you've run these groups before. When you How is life different? So when a person decides to join this group and kinda learn all the things you're talking through and kind of put those skills to practice, how do their lives change on the other side of it?
hmm so I use this mainly in my previous work with teenagers. And if y'all remember, I said they were in the juvenile justice system or involved with the Department of Children's Services. So they were dealing with a lot.
Mm,
A lot was going on. We probably weren't making the best choices.
mm,
Um, but seeing them be able to realize they had choices that they could make
mm,
and then utilize that and make those choices for themselves, not for anyone, like, not for their family, not for their teachers, not for the adults that were telling them to do something, but for themselves because they wanted it. They they realized, "Oh, I do have a choice to do things differently, maybe even better." And for them, it gave them a sense of agency. A
Mm,
lot of teens don't feel like they have that. It is limited because they're teenagers. It's a little different than us in our 20s, but owning that piece of themselves and utilizing it and saying, my circumstances don't define me.
mm, wow. And I'm thinking about when you know, because now we're looking at applying this curriculum, and the way I understand it, what you told me is it's a little bit of a different curriculum. It's not geared toward teenagers. It really is geared toward adults and professionals. And so I'm trying to imagine what is the piece that maybe folks in their 20s might be struggling with that would be transformed through this group. Is this a matter of them feeling overwhelmed, not understanding what's going on and what to do about their thoughts and feelings and just being stressed out? Like, is this a matter of like lessening their stress? Is it a matter of giving them more choices? What's the what do you think the benefit is?
Yeah, and both of those things are part
Mm,
of it. I really think as a adult with this group, the benefits are being able to sit in these, pretty big decisions like
mm,
starting a career, navigating relationships,
right.
uh, whether that be, dating relationships, marriage, friendships, even, or just learning to establish your independence as an adult. We start shifting and changing a lot in our 20s. Um, so the benefit is truly, hopefully, giving you skills to lean into those things, to feel confident in the decisions that you make for yourself,
Mhm.
to be able to have healthy relationships, um, avoid unhealthy relationships, thinking back to my early 20s. Oh, the time I could have saved,
Uh-huh.
right? And I think a lot of people can relate to that you know, I wasn't fully aware. I wasn't paying attention to what I was feeling.
Mhm.
I just was, you know, wanting to try and start building these relationships or building this career, doing these things. And now I'm looking up, say they're later in life, and they're like, "Ah, oh my gosh, what have I been doing?" Um, so hopefully avoiding the ask
Mhm.
later in life. Or if the ask comes saying, "Well, I'm equipped to handle it and I'm ready because I've been doing this for some time now."
Yeah, that is that's such a good point because I'm thinking about, oftentimes I mean, my clients are all adults, my couples are all adults, but I also see a lot of like people not just in their 20s, but later, like 30s, 40s, and 50s. And it's a lot of what you're just talking about. They like hunkered down, they made some choices based on what they thought was the right thing to do. And like, or maybe people told them, well, you should be a lawyer. So like you go to law school, do that, or, do this over here.
Mhm.
And they kind of start walking the path, start checking all of the boxes, and then there comes a time where they look up and they're like, "Okay, I've accomplished all of these things. Wait, this is not feeling the way that I thought I would feel. Like, this is not feeling I'm not 100% content, I'm not 100% happy.
Yeah.
What happened?" And usually it's kinda there's our feelings and thoughts well, either we don't really know how to think and feel about our inner experiences because we never learned those tools, or we tend to push them to the side because we don't know what to do with them anyway. Like, yeah, there's stress, but I'm not sure what to do with that. So I'm just gonna like plow on or
Mhm.
try to avoid. And you're essentially saying, especially I guess with the evaluating pieces in the beginning of the acronym, like tuning into yourself, using your thoughts and your feelings as a data set to make better decisions so that you don't look up when you're 30 or 40 and 50 and like, well, I guess I made these choices, but really in hindsight, this wasn't the best.
Yeah. You know, I think another reason behind the name, like, why the feelings? Because, they're actually important. And really what they are is data for
Mm,
us. They've been labeled good and bad, certain different ones, but that's the thing is we've applied those meanings to them. So why not learn how to, like, make informed decisions on these things? Because they're letting you know something whether or not you're paying attention to them.
Yeah. So it's really because I think that's the little dirty secret. Like everybody has feelings. You can't really opt out of them. The only choice that you have is kind of ignore them and be mindless and not aware of what's going on, or to really fully understand and know how to deal with them effectively. Because either you can learn how to deal with your feelings and your thoughts, or your feelings and your thoughts are going to deal with you. Like that's really the choice that we have. And so it sounds like this group, Why the Feelings, is really going to be about you being the master of the data set and having the tools to make the choices that are aligned with who it is that you want to be.
Yeah, exactly, and I think of the analogy if you're driving the car and you kinda have, like, a backseat driver or a passenger princess is another term. Your emotions sometimes, they become a little bit more than that. They reach over and try and grab the wheel out of your hand and yank it, and
Mm,
so I'm saying you can learn how to swat them away and say, "I see you, sit in your seat, this is where we're going."
I got this. Mm,
Mhm.
yeah. Uh, in terms of, I guess I'm curious if people have done individual work before, if they're currently seeing an individual therapist, or couples work, can they can they still benefit from the group? And vice versa, if they do the group as like a first thing before having done therapy, is that an okay option? Like what's the difference between seeing an individual therapist, or a couples therapist and doing this group? And is one better than the other, or are they a complement? Like how does it all fit together, you think?
So it doesn't matter if you're like a therapy novice or you've been doing this for years. This is for everyone. These skills can be applied in any way. So they're helpful if maybe you're starting to dig into some of your stuff, your past or your traumas or things of that nature, because that's going to amplify stress. And that's a lot of what we're talking about here is dealing with that stress. So if you're doing some of that therapy work, great addition because you're probably spending your therapy sessions doing that work, and there's not time or as much time to sit and talk about these basics of
Mhm,
like, "Hey, well, how are we coping with it? What are we doing when it shows up?" Yes, there's probably time spent there, but not this intent focused time. And so a great addition to that work. If you've never done therapy and you're like, just want to get a feel, not really sure, also great for you because guess what? You can still use this stuff. You don't have to go in and be doing therapy and going through your things or doing sessions weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it may be to apply these things. Again, basic foundational skills that can be applied wherever you're at in your therapy journey.
mhm. Yeah, I sometimes get so I'm really hearing both. Like, if you're currently in individual therapy, there's probably not enough time, and I see that with my clients all the time. Like, there's so much of just, like, the processing that might happen on a one-on-one basis that we don't have enough time, for, like, the the skills that maybe you're talking about specifically. Um, and so it feels like, yeah, if you're currently in individual therapy, this is gonna supercharge that experience and kinda almost give you the full package. And if you haven't been in therapy, then this is gonna be the thing you wish you would have learned in school. I think that's the other piece that I get, sometimes people that join therapy, we might have to do some of the things that, you're gonna do in the group, and again, they're in their 30s, 40s. I was like, "I wish this would have been around in school." Like, they should teach that in school. Um That's kinda like how foundational it sounds. Like, it's that, like, toolkit that's gonna carry you not just through your 20s, it's gonna carry you through the rest of your life and help you deal with challenging situations and stress in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Mm,
You know, would love if we added this to the school curriculum.
yeah,
Like I said, don't need Pythagorean theorem, but this stuff I could have used
yeah,
frequently.
yeah, amazing. Um, Yeah, I guess so the way just to kinda talk about the logistics, we talked about it's gonna be a Wednesday night group. It starts, I believe, on September 18th,
Mhm.
2024, and the time was 7 to 8:30?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if people are on the website, seeing the write-up, they're listening to this, and they're ready to go, there's gonna be a button on the page to sign up. I think you can either do a one-time payment of 598 for the full 9 weeks, or you can split the payment into 2 payments of 325 if that works better with your budget. Kind of one payment when you sign up, and the second payment, halfway through the group. So that's an option as well. Um, if somebody is seeing this video, they read the website, and they still have some questions, um, I think what we said is that they can jump on a 15-minute call with you one-on-one and ask you specific questions as well. So if there are any lingering questions before somebody signs up or before they're ready to commit to this experience, you're gonna be around and have those one-on-one conversations.
Yes.
Okay.
More than happy to hop on a quick call with you, answer anything that might be, feeling like, "I'm not sure, this is kind of the thing I need an answer for." Um, and just also talk to you if you're feeling like, "I don't know if it's a fit." I always tell people when I meet with them that I know I do good work as a therapist, but that doesn't mean that I'm always your therapist. Same goes for this group,
Mm,
you know? It might not be a fit, and that's okay. If it's not, let's chat and let's see if I know some people who might be. Um, I still wanna make sure you're getting connected and getting the resources that you need.
yeah, that's perfect. Um, anything that we haven't touched on that would be important to cover?
Not that I can think of. I feel like we've kind of covered the groundwork of this group. Like you said, if anyone has questions, they can reach out and we'll do a 15-minute call chat and hopefully get them situated with what's best.
That's awesome. Any final words when you think about somebody that's listening to this, watching this, and they're feeling a little on the fence about signing up? Anything you would wanna let them.
We're going to go ahead and start listening to those feelings. So check in with yourself. Ask yourself, what's holding me back? What's keeping me back? Um, is it more of just a time constraint? Is it nerves? Because "Oh, I've never done this. I'm not really sure." So check in, see what it is, and say, okay, what are the pros and cons of this? What am I gonna get if I do this? Um, what might it cost me if I do this? More than just financially, but just go ahead, start diving in when you're doing this group. We'll start the work early before you even meet me. But trust your intuition and challenge yourself. I mean, I have a tattoo and it says chasing fear. People are always like, what? What does that mean? I love it too because people get so taken aback by it. And I'm like, do the things that scare you. Because in those spaces, I think that's where we learn and grow the most.
Dang, that's super powerful.
Yeah, and I can't credit it all to me. That was definitely from an author. So Levi Lusko,
Amazing.
thank you. But
Chasing fear. Yeah, so because really you're saying if you're nervous about this, that doesn't mean it's not a match. That might just mean you're exactly in the right spot to
yeah.
do some really incredible growth work.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, Kendall, thank you so, so much. I'm super excited for the group. And like we already said, if people have more questions, shoot us a contact form. We can get you connected with Kendall for a 15-minute consultation. And I'm really excited to see this launch at the September 18th.
Yes, I can't wait. Um, One last thing I did just think about,
Yeah.
this is gonna run up right to before the holidays.
Oh,
So the goal also is get you these skills, and then I'm gonna send you to hang out with your family and really put you to the test of did you learn in this group? Nothing like a good old time with family to test your abilities, right?
That is so true, yes. Amazing. Great. Well, thank you so much, Kendall, and, we'll chat again real soon.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.